morning to you and welcome to Souq News Television this lovely Wednesday morning. My name is Hans Mba. Intro to our very own Souq Business Landscape. It comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. to open up your day, shake you up, wake you up, kind of like how you have your hot cup of coffee to wake up your insides. Here we wake up your mind with the show. We take a look at business headlines, of course, from various key business publications. We're talking Business Day Nigeria, Business Day South Africa, Business Daily Kenya, Gulf Times in Qatar, and on and on and on. I could go on listing them. But what we want you to do is engage with us across all social media, especially on YouTube, with the hashtag SBL. And let's have that conversation about the headlines that speak to you. Interact with us. We want to hear from you, especially the ones that interest you. And let us have conversations, not just conversations, have suggestions and your ideas about the headlines that would stand out, that will work for us in Africa, in Nigeria, in Lagos. And let's get down to the nitty-gritty. First paper, Business Day. Ownership battle rages at Nigeria's oldest bank, right? It's something to see, especially when the banks are having a back and forth. And when you hear the oldest bank, I was wondering this morning why they wouldn't use the name of the bank. Of course, they're talking about First Bank, Nigeria's oldest bank. Ownership battles rages. First Bank Holdings and its auditors have been going back and forth. And we have Femi Otedola in that mix, the bank's chairman. We have a few other people that are going back and forth at First Bank. You want to read about that? It's on the Business Day, Nigeria. Next headline, ownership battle rages at Nigeria's oldest bank once again. Next one, telcos see investment shrink as return on capital turns negative. Telcos see investment shrink as return on capital turns negative. Telecommunications companies expect quite a lot from the back and forth, especially with the downsides on what's happening with the economy recently. You can check that one out on page 30. Why analysts see inflation declining in July. They explain why analysts see inflation declining in July. So that's that one is on page 31. We want to get engaged with that one and see how and why inflation is declining. Sounds like a good thing. Manufacturers' losses drop to 223 billion naira as FX pressure cases. FX pressure continued to case as manufacturers' losses dropped to 223 billion naira. That story is on page 31 as well, right? We'll go on to Kenya Business Daily. Bank loans shrink by 200 billion shillings as interest rates soar. Interest rates going up as bank loan shrink. Here it goes on to talk about 138.8 billion shilling drop booked in 2 months to March alone. March 3 months ago. Reduced lending signals slower pace of investments. That is a story to check out to all our brothers out in the east, in the Horn of Africa. Next headline, public servants to be allowed transfer of pension on exits. Public servants to be allowed transfer of pension on exit. So as they leave, they are being allowed their pension transferred. And they talk about it being on time as well. So these things should not pend or should not falter, especially when they leave. exit pensions. All right, next headline, Eurobonds yield up on finance bill jitters. Finance bill jitters. Finance bill is causing Eurobonds to yield. Right? Next headline, equity insurance business sparks talent war. Equity insurance business sparks talent war. Much, 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 lots of headlines that is catching our attention on Business Daily in Kenya. Kwale miner eyeing 3 billion shillings pay to parents. So to parent company, Kwale miners are eyeing 3 billion shillings pay to parent company. On to South Africa, Business Day. Jobless number hits record high. So they're talking of jobless number hits record high because unemployed, that number jumps to 81 million in the second quarter. So the second quarter that just ended have unemployment. The unemployed jumped to 81 million. That's quite a number. Next headline, shrinking mine output will weigh on GDP. Shrinking mine output will weigh on GDP. Mining is something that's huge in South Africa, and they're talking about the output is going to shrink, and which will affect the GDP. Next headline, organized business sticks to guns on NHI, the health insurance. So talking about organized business sticking to their guns if they would use or would not use NHI. That's one headline to go check out for on page 9. Right? Santam show of profit boosts. Santam is one of South Africa's biggest manufacturing companies, and assuring of profits, not just profit, but boost in profits. So we're talking about huge returns from Santam. Why South Africa needs $970 million a year. They go on to explain that why South Africa needs $970 million. That is a chunk. So that's on the Funding Gap article. It's something to check out for if you're interested in business out there in South Africa. Next headline, youthquake looms if Africa cannot create and upgrade jobs. So this is one that was really looked into and written about what will happen with the youthquake when it's Africa. And when we say Africa, we're talking about not just a few, we're talking about all the countries. If they cannot create jobs and they cannot upgrade the jobs already created that people are working on, that would be a problem. Check that out. It's on page 3. It's something for you to get involved in, because if there are no jobs, then everything crumbles, don't it? Next headline, the ties that bind economists to power and privilege. Here they break down the ties that bind economy and the power. So we're talking government, and we're talking entrepreneurs, and we're talking business owners. What is that tie that binds them? Power and economies. Before the break, we're looking at Business Day South Africa. Right now, we're on to Business Posts Bangladesh. Right onto it. Irregularities plunge BPDB into 45,000 Creole debts. So BPDB are burdened with huge debts despite frequent price hikes. That's something that's going on right there, with 45,000 Creole debts incurred. Hundreds of power plants constructed without lenders, part of the problems. Allegations of purchasing electricity at higher prices, inefficiency and irregularities led, these irregularities actually, they say, led to electricity price hikes. So these irregularities have plunged BPDD into debts. That's something to see on the front page, glaring of the Business Post. Next headline, Ansan H. Mansur set to become BB governor. Yeah, Bangladesh Bank, which is the equivalent of our central bank, has a new governor at the helm of events. And Bangladesh being a very progressive country, from all the news that we have brought you on this show, is looking up, hopefully. Economy not in bad shape, just slowed down. Economy not in bad shape, just slowed down. So that case is something they're making for what's going on in Bangladesh, because on Monday, we had one not too good news about Bangladesh. So this headline, I guess, is trying to explain it, that the economy is just slowed down and not in bad shape. Next headline, World Bank stands ready to work with interim governments. On that news, the interim government that was recently sworn in to get things going, the headline says, World Bank stands ready to work with interim government. Next headline, ensuring human rights, freedom of speech, prime goal. Yunus is saying this. Yunus out in India is saying that freedom of speech is ensured, human rights is ensured. It's not something to worry about. And Yunus has been standing tall despite all the afflictions, if I may say, of what's happening since she got into the helm of power. Next headline, remittance inflow rises rapidly after Hasina's fall. Remittance inflow rises rapidly after Hasina's fall. Next headline, country receives $482.7 million in just 10 days. The country received $482.7 million in just 10 days. That's a news to check out for on page 7. It begins on the front page though, but catch all the juice and sauce when you get to the inside. Page 7. All right. On to the next headline, Gulf Times in Qatar. One of our favorite news destinations as well on this show. So Qatar residents spend between $3,000 and $5,000 per capita annually on retail. Qatar residents spend between $3,000 and $5,000 per capita annually on retail. This is something they want to check for. It's something to pay attention to, right? And it's quite a huge spend if you look at what that cost is, especially if you do a conversion to Naira. Not looking good. Next headline, Milaha reports 628 million reals net profits between January and June 2024. Milaha reports 628 million reals net profits between January and June, which is the first half of the year. Looking good for Milaha. Next headline, China new loans hit 15-year low in July. More policy steps expected. It begs the question that comes to mind. Who is loaning China money, right? China is doing really, really well. So this is a headline that actually catches my eye. China loans experienced 15-year low in July. More policy steps expected. Next headline, QNB Group named world's best bank for emerging markets in 2024. Wow. On Monday, we had news on QNB Bank. And today, they're talking about it being the best bank, world best bank for emerging markets in 2024. Good news. Qatar executive to attend MEBAA Show 2024. And this is from 10th to the 12th of December in Dubai. It's just one of the shows and trainings and something that is set up for Qatar executives to be a part of that would affect how they run their companies and their organizations. And there'll be more that we will point out to you as time goes on. Next, publication Financial Express, we're in India this time. CCI recalls Apple antitrust reports. So for the reasons that you would find in the when you read the full article, the headline says CCI recalls Apple antitrust reports. Antitrust reports by Apple is usually comprehensive and explicable, but for the recall, you'll find this on the insides, and the talk about competitive secrets given to competitors. That's what the US tech giant is saying. Apple is accusing them of revealing their secrets to competitors. There's also the talk of delay in probe by 3 months, which they say is likely. Despite the back and forth, there will be a probe in 3 months' time. Apple is in deep soup. Next headline, IPOs head for an August month. IPOs head for an August month. Issues worth 22,000 crore set to hit primary markets. Issues worth 22,000 crore set to hit primary markets. Next headline, MSCI lifts curb on Adani Group, adds 7 stocks. MSCI lifts curbs on Adani Group, adds 7 stock. GST Council to discuss rates rejig in September meet. GST Council to discuss rates rejig in the meeting they're going to be having in September. All right, still on the publication, but they're talking the international scene here. Elon Musk, causes up to Donald Trump. Pitches role in administration. So Elon Musk causes up to Donald Trump as he pitches a role in his administration. This is a juicy conversation article on page 10 of the publication. SBI aims to sell its Yes Bank stake worth 18,428 crore. SBI, that's the equivalent of our central bank, aims to sell its Yes Bank stake worth 18,429 crore. Next headline, Hero MotoCorp profits rises 36%, misses estimates. So he misses his estimates as the profit of Hero MotoCorp rises. And next headline, most state-run power discoms yet to break even despite all the monies made, all the hikes in prices. Estimates are still not good when most state-run power discoms are yet to break even. This is something that's going down, and we will like to go on to the last article. Financial Times, one of our favorites as well on the show. Starbucks ousts, Financial Times London, by the way. Starbucks ousts chief and appoints Chipotle boss after activist pressure. So there's been pressure as Starbucks ousts its CEO and appoints a new one. Is big tech messaging emissions numbers? Is big tech massaging emission numbers? This is a big read on page 15. It's something to check for. Of course, we are keeping our eyes on Musk and how he's been moving, which allows us to bring this headline your way. The likelihood of life in Mars just increased. That you would find on page 16. It's an interesting read. Brussels rein in rogue commissioner who threatened Elon Musk over Twitter content. Brussels rein-in rogue commissioner who threatened Elon Musk over content on Twitter. Still on Financial Times, insurers innovate to avert catastrophic climate losses. Insurers innovate to avert catastrophic climate losses, but you know how insurers always have to make that payment despite the what the rejig in the business is. If whatever happens to people that have insured, payments must go out. But what the insurance companies do is they have to make sure that they should make these payments. Other headlines include Blackstone property deal. So there's an investment group that has sold 3,000 homes to the University Pension Fund as they look at starting a new organization, educational organization. AstraZeneca hits $200 billion. So the pharmaceutical business has become the only current London-listed company to reach a $200 billion valuation. And this is on the front page, but you can find it if you navigate to page 6. On that note, we will come to an end of the show, Souq Business Landscape, on this lovely Wednesday, slightly drizzly morning. My name is Hans Mba. Remember to always engage with us. Let us take these headlines off air as we prep for the next show on Souq News Television. Stay here as we show you more things that has to do with business, economy, and development, shaping policy. Go nowhere. We're still here.